Hey everyone, how you doing? I just wanted to jump on real quick and make a review video for you to go over anaphoresis and cataphoresis. I know it gets super confusing. I even get confused. So I thought this might be helpful to you and for you. Don't forget that your galvanic is not just limited to the electrolysis world. It is also used in facial treatments and disincrustations and iontophoresis. We're going to talk about some of those things today, but this essentially is meant to help you with your exam for the IBEC and getting all of the information about anaphoresis and cataphoresis just further cemented in your brains. Let's get started. Let me see if I could shrink myself a little bit. Oh yeah, much better. Okay. So with galvanic in the blend, you are going to have to utilize anaphoresis and cataphoresis. I've got this here. With direct current modalities, like galvanic in the blend, it's going to require you to use two electrodes, one negative and one positive. Remember, the negative is cathode, think of black cat. The positive is an anode, so it's going to be red, and if you think of ants, red ants, that kind of will help you out. This is going to help conduct the flow of electricity through the body. Remember that the electricity flowing through the body only works because we are made of water. And so when we are talking about conductors and insulators in our electricity class, it's only possible because we have water in our skin and obviously in our bodies. An electrode is an applicator for directing electrical current from an electrotherapy device into the client's skin. All right, so we're dealing with a couple different electrodes when we're doing electrolysis. We're dealing with the probe, we're dealing with the ground, and then we're dealing with the roller. Okay, as you guys know, the ground and the roller, we're going to have to switch polarities depending on what we're doing in the treatment. With electrolysis, galvanic or the blend, you're dealing with two different electrodes versus thermolysis, you're just dealing with one. Okay, so when we are doing that, we're going to have an active electrode. That's the one that you are holding. This is you as the electrologist. That's you. Look how happy you are to be an electrologist. You are going to be using the active electrode. Then the inactive electrode is going to go on your client. The inactive electrode can be the ground. Look how relaxed that client is. Of course, there's no graphics for electrolysis, so you're looking at someone getting a facial. Your active is going to look like the probe or the roller, depending on if you're doing anaphoresis or cataphoresis. Okay. Now, when we are working with galvanic in the blend, remember, opposites attract. We're never going to do a active electrode that's positive and a ground that's positive. We are going to always have to do opposites. So if the active electrode is going to be negative, then your ground has to be positive. If your active electrode is going to be positive, then your ground has to be negative. I put that in the roller. Yes, it's a paint roller. There was no galvanic roller images in Canva. Let's talk about these things, all right? Let's talk about anaphoresis first. Anaphoresis is the use of a negative pole to apply direct current, which produces sodium hydroxide through chemical reactions in the skin and has a range of different effects, okay? So one of them used in skincare is called a disincrustation. So this is what we would do, is we would use a negative active electrode, and then we would give our clients the positive. And I think of, when I use the negative electrode on a client, I think of negativity sucks the life out of you. Negative people suck the life out of you. And so when you're using negative as the active electrode and your client is positively charged, what's happening is we disincrust the skin. We kind of suck out of the skin. Disincrustation is a form of anaphoresis. It's a process used to soften and emulsify any grease deposits, blackheads, anything clogged in the follicles, frequently used for acne. You really wouldn't use it for anyone else. If you think about dry, sensitive skin, they're already pretty alkaline, so we're not going to disincrust them. If we're thinking about someone who's naturally a little more oily and acidic, has more sebum, then you would disincrust them to help you do extractions. Okay, so anaphoresis, negative is your active, your client is positive. Anaphoresis on its own can open pores, make the skin slightly more alkaline, so it makes it resistant to bacterial growth, dilates blood vessels, stimulates cellular exchange and metabolism by increasing that circulation, softens sebum, dilates sebaceous gland ducts, and helps push negatively ionized or alkaline products deeper into the skin through iontophoresis. So when we're doing direct current, so if we're doing galvanic, our setup is that the client is grounded positive and your electrode in this instance, your active electrode, is your probe, okay? And this is how galvanic works when you're actually trying to get the hairs removed. Can you do an anaphoresis beforehand? You can. So the book actually talks about, oh, I didn't put it in here. The book actually talks about it's not recommended because it does dilate blood flow. It does create a little circulation and a little redness to the area. And so it's going to heighten the sensitivity of the client's skin. But you can do it, especially if you have more stubborn hairs, thicker hairs. It can help in that process. We did try it in class. We had no luck in that instance, but it is something that some people do. The more I dig around about it, the more I find that some people do an anaphoresis before a galvanic or blend. If you do, just remember that their skin's going to be a little more irritated red, and you might even get a stronger histamine response. Okay. If you decide to skip an anaphoresis treatment and you're going just into galvanic electrolysis, know that the probe is going to be your negatively charged pole. Okay. Your client will have to be positive. So when we think about negative and positive, remember the negative is black. Look at that black cord. And the positive is going to have a red cord. Okay, positive. Red is positively beautiful. All right, that is your anaphoresis. So your anaphoresis comes first. And think about anaphoresis, it's the first letter of the alphabet. So your anaphoresis, whether you do an iontophoresis, like an actual softening of the skin, disincrustation, and then you go into galvanic, or you just go into galvanic, you're going in doing essentially an anaphoresis inside the pores, okay? Now, if you're going to do that, that means you're alkalizing the skin. You're creating that sodium hydroxide inside the skin, which is going to have a high pH, which is going to cause the skin to get red. Galvanic might be a little less on the stingy side, but it does have a weird sensation, and it is going to leave the skin red. It's going to be a little welty or hivey. It's because your skin does not like that. That means when you're done with galvanic and even the blend, you have to do a cataphoresis at the end of your treatment. It's a non-negotiable. You have to re-acidify the skin. Okay, so that brings us to cataphoresis, which is the use of a positive pole to apply direct current. The positive pole of the galvanic current produces hydrochloric acid through chemical reaction with the skin, which can have a therapeutic effect when used post-treatment. So cataphoresis is going to lower the skin's pH. It makes it more acidic, thus resilient or resistant even to bacterial growth. It's going to constrict blood vessels, reduce swelling, reduce redness in the area, close up your pores, close up the sebaceous glands, soothe and calm the skin, and then hopefully take whatever product you're using and help penetrate that into the client. If you're using like an aloe-based or a calming gel, that's even better, okay? So cataphoresis has to be done if you're doing galvanic or the blend because you don't want to leave the skin in an alkalized state. So what does that mean? Is that the ground now becomes negative and the roller, so you would never use a cataphoresis with your probe, you're going to use it with your roller. Your roller is positive, and you think of your active electrode. If you're using a positive one, I think of positive people push you, positive things are good things, right? So now you want to push stuff into the skin. Now you want to do good things because you're positive. That is what's going to help seal up the pores. And sometimes you see instant relief of redness and also that histamine response when you're doing your roller. Your roller doesn't go on bare skin. You should use it with aloe, with the post-depilatory lotion. It has to be a gel-based. It cannot be a cream-based because remember, oil molecules block electricity or like any kind of electrical current. So whatever you're trying to push, positive people push, and whatever you're trying to push into the skin at that instance should be soothing, anti-inflammatory, hydrating, and you're going to see the inflammation come down quite a bit. So let's put this back. So just to review, if you are doing your anaphoresis, your active electrode will be negative and your grounding is going to be positive. Negative people suck out. We're trying to get all those hairs out, okay? Negative to positive. If we are going to go ahead and do a cataphoresis, that means our client is negative and we're not going to be using the probe. We're going to be using the roller to push positivity back into the skin, okay? That is just a little review of Galvanjc. I hope that it's helped. And now you have a little visual when it comes to how in the world do you do Galvanjc or the blend. Thanks so much for watching.